The soft buzz of the candle at dinner felt more like a persistent mosquito than a symbol of romance, its flickering glow casting jittery shadows across the table and deepening the pit in my stomach. Across from me sat Rachel, my wife of 6 years, mechanically poking at her grilled salmon with a fork. She wasn't eating it. Her eyes, glazed and distracted, were locked on her phone, scrolling with rhythmic precision, thumbs gliding across the screen, as though it were more alive than the person she once claimed to love. "Can we have just one dinner without your phone?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay even, careful not to sound as afraid as I felt. She looked up, startled, like a kid caught sneaking candy before dinner. Her lips parted slightly, as if an excuse might tumble out, but instead she offered a curt nod and placed her phone face down on the table. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe her. Maybe she heard me. Maybe she cared. But then, the corner of her mouth twitched in that subtle, knowing way. A smile so small most would miss it. I didn't. I knew her too well. I sipped my wine and cast a glance toward the phone. It buzzed softly, then again. Another notification. Then another. Her hand twitched toward it, brushing the edge like it was a lifeline she couldn't resist. I watched silently. The wine turned to acid in my throat. For months, I'd felt it, the slow unraveling. Late nights at the office, half-finished explanations, her evasiveness. She deleted texts like they were poison, avoided my touch like it burned her skin. I ignored it. I wanted to believe the woman I loved was still somewhere inside her, but the truth had been staring me down for too long. And tonight, I was done looking away. "Go ahead," I said, gesturing at the phone. "Pick it up." She froze, fingers hovering midair. Slowly, she retrieved the device and unlocked it, trying to angle it away from my sight. But I saw it just long enough. The name, Evan. I placed the glass down, my pulse thudding in my ears. "Who's Evan?" Her head snapped up, the color drained from her face, her mouth suddenly dry. "What?" "Evan," I repeated slowly, each syllable like a stone dropped in still water. "The guy you're texting during our dinner." For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, but it vanished, replaced with practiced defiance. "You're being ridiculous, Mark." That word, ridiculous, it hit me like a slap. The years I gave her, the sacrifices, the late nights making sure she was happy, all reduced to one dismissive word. Without thinking, I lunged across the table, snatched the phone from her hands, and hurled it against the wall. It shattered, spraying bits of glass and metal like shrapnel. The room fell into shocked silence before Rachel's sharp gasp sliced through it. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screamed, pushing her chair back as she rose. "What's wrong with me?" I stood too, fists clenched at my sides. "You're sitting here in our home, at our table, texting another man while I'm still trying to save what's left of our marriage. What's wrong with you?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, she had no comeback, no spin, no lie, and that silence told me everything. When she stormed out, slamming the front door behind her, something inside me snapped into place. It wasn't just rage anymore, it was resolve. Cold, clear, purposeful. I wouldn't let her betrayal define me. I would take back control. By morning, I had a plan. I called in sick and spent the day combing through our shared phone records. Evan's number stood out immediately. Hundreds of messages, all hours of the night. I needed confirmation, so I hired a private investigator named Frank. He was blunt and expensive, but effective. Within days, he handed me a thick envelope. Photos of Rachel and Evan meeting at a hotel, dinner receipts, screenshots of a weekend trip she booked on our shared credit card. My hands trembled as I flipped through the evidence. She hadn't just made a mistake. She'd built a second life. That's when the next phase of my plan began. First, the finances. I quietly moved most of the funds from our joint accounts into a personal one Rachel didn't know existed. I froze our credit cards, shut down access. If she wanted to play games, she'd do it without my money. Second, the house. She always called it our home, but the deed had my name and my name only. I bought it before we married. I met with my lawyer and filed the eviction paperwork. By the time she figured it out, her key wouldn't work. Third, exposure. I wasn't going to let her slink away with a lie and a new man. I compiled Frank's evidence, every message, every hotel receipt, every compromising photo, and sent it anonymously to her parents, her friends, even her manager. I posted a detailed but anonymous review of the hotel where they met, complete with timestamps and enough hints to connect the dots. When Rachel returned home that evening, she found a locksmith installing new locks on the door. Her face twisted in confusion, then rage. What the hell is going on? I handed her a manila envelope. Inside were divorce papers and a copy of every shred of evidence. She flipped through it, her expression draining to pale horror. "You think you could just throw me out?" she spat. "This is my home, too." "No." I said quietly, "It's mine, and you're not welcome anymore." She tried to cry, beg, scream, but I didn't budge. By the end of the week, she was gone. And Evan? He didn't walk away unscathed either. I found out where he worked, a promising tech startup. I sent an anonymous tip to HR detailing his rendezvous with Rachel during work hours, complete with proof. Within days, he was out of a job. Rachel's life began to unravel. No job, no home. Friends evaporated like mist. She moved in with a cousin 2 towns away, forgotten by the people who once fawned over her. And me? I started to breathe again. The first weeks were quiet. Strangely so, but the stillness brought peace. I poured myself into my career, picked up old hobbies, called friends I neglected for too long. One evening, I sat on the porch, wine in hand, watching the sky fade from gold to violet, and I felt it, a calm I hadn't known in years. No more secrets, no more lies. Rachel tried to break me. She underestimated me. But in the end, I didn't just survive, I thrived. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.